Hello and welcome to a vlog in what I hope is going to become a productive week. Maybe. So, I guess let me go ahead and take you around what my plans are for this week and bring you up to speed on my goals. So, first off right here, I have, cut out the fabric that I need for this pattern. I want to make this little wrap dress by Butterick. It's B6211. It's a reproduction pattern. But I've got all the pieces cut out. I just need to pull some interfacing, I think, for the belts. And then get some covered up buttons. I need to pull all the notions together for this one. But I do want to make up this dress within the next couple days. And then over here, I have yet to finish the pink hat. Sorry, it is still not lined. But I want to redo this dress. And this dress is another vintage reproduction pattern. And it's mostly fine. The only thing that bothers me about this dress is that the fabric is fairly sheer, so you could actually see the seam allowance. Oh, I just realized something. Okay, I might not be able to redo this dress. I might just have to live with it. Because the problem is, when I actually wear the dress, you could see the seam allowance through the body of the dress, which is annoying because I don't like being able to see the seam allowance. So my plan was to go in and flatline it, but I trimmed the seams significantly. And I don't think I have the allowance. Well, I might. I did trim the seams though, and I notched them. So this might be a maybe. It might be a maybe. I'm gonna try it on again and see if I still hate it. Because ideally I think I'd like to replace the straps. I don't love the bows. But yeah, I did originally want to cut apart this dress and then redo it because I think the embroidery at the bottom is very pretty. So this was a pre-embroidered fabric. So I did want to work on that a little bit, and then I also drafted a pattern for a dress that I saw on Pinterest. I drafted this by Frankensteining a couple of patterns that I have, but it's this button back Pinterest dress that you can buy off of Etsy. And it's really cute and really expensive, and I think I can make it just by using patterns that I already own. So I did cut out the pattern, so now I just need to figure out how to do the button back, and then it has this little bit at the bottom where it actually turns into pleats where the vent would be. So I do need to do a mock-up of that to make sure that works. And then I also pulled a pattern that I really liked the fit of from a previous pattern, and I did a new draft of my pencil skirt pattern that's a little bit longer and I think fits a little bit better. So I need to do a mock-up of that because I would like to make a white skirt with this. So those are the plans for this week, and we'll see if I get around to doing any of that. Alright, good morning. So I just got back from the fabric store. I was on a mission to try and find some coverable buttons for this little lady right here. And I need a button to go in 3 little spots on either side for a total of 6 buttons. Those actually are functioning buttons too, they're closures. So I was unsuccessful. I think the only thing I managed to pick up from the store was some webbing so I could make the belts, and that is all I managed to accomplish. So I think if I do any sewing today, it's probably going to be just on the belts. My plan, in lieu of not being able to find any buttons at either Hobby Lobby or Joann's has like an appalling lack of yellow buttons. Like, the assortment is a lot smaller than I thought it would be. I'm going to poke around the ye old internet and see what I could find. I might just end up buying in bulk a bunch of coverable buttons from Amazon, because I in general do like coverable buttons, and the ones that I have are actually too small for my purposes. So I might just buy some coverable buttons and make covered buttons to go with that. But obviously with delivery I won't be able to get them here today. So since that didn't happen, I think I'm probably just going to maybe do some editing today. So I kind of want a day off from the school and the sewing, well, not the sewing, but the school and the doing things. So I went ahead and made myself a list of things that I should probably work on today. And that would be taking photos in my Nightmare Before Christmas dress and editing those photos. I need to adjust the cuffs on my black pirate shirt and then edit and take pictures of that, and then edit the video. I have a red gingham dress that I would like to finish and take photos of, but I've actually backburnered that idea because it's got some more problems than I thought it did, and I am no longer motivated. I have a white Simplicity dress that I could take photos of in and edit. And then I have a Valentine's Day dress that I finished and wore and didn't take pictures of, so I need to edit that. And then I have the weekly vlog from last week that I need to go in and edit. So I've got plenty of things, plenty of videos actually that I could finish and then edit, but the finishing actually takes a lot more, I think, effort than I expected. I'm not particularly good at taking pictures of myself. I've never really done the selfie thing, or I don't really do pictures, let's just go with that. So just, you know, when I wear the dress after I finish it, it doesn't really occur to me that I should probably stop and get some photos while I'm at it. When the makeup is done and the hair is done and the shoes and everything is all put together for it, I don't think to do that. So the other things that I've been working on is I went ahead and drafted a dress for one that I saw off of Pinterest that I really like, and I went ahead and scribbled out a dress that I would like to make. This is from a McCall's pattern I saw for sale and didn't buy, but I did take a picture of the cover art because I thought it was a really cute dress and I thought I'd be able to draft it very easily as opposed to spending the money on the pattern. The pattern wasn't super expensive. It was like $14, but it was more than I felt like spending, and I think the size might have been wrong. And I don't like scaling vintage patterns in any capacity, so I'd rather just draft it myself. And that's not too terribly complicated. It's raglan sleeves, and it's got open-ended darts, where at the bust it's got the raised waistline. So really it's not that complex of a dress to draft or make, especially if you are working with patterns that are very similar. You could just Frankenstein them, which is usually what I do in a lot of cases. That's how I drafted that one. I just Frankensteined a few patterns that I knew fit well. So in lieu of this dress not being able to get done because there's no closures, which is a shame because I really like the dress and I really wanted to wear it, I'm really feeling Eastery right now, so I just want to work on light colors and pastels and, you know, very springy things, even though Texas hasn't quite made up its mind on whether it's winter or spring yet. But it needs to get cracking because, you know, we're almost in March. It's time for some warm weather. Because no, like seriously, it was like 75 degrees and perfect, and then the very next day it was 42, and then the very next day it was like 60, and then today it's probably like 75 again. So we go from mild weather to cold weather and then back again in the span of a few days, and it's been like this for the past like 2 weeks. So I think everybody's getting sick, everybody's allergies are acting up, and it's very, very frustrating. I just want it to be Easter now. Alright, hello and welcome to an update on another vlog, I suppose, because I'm pretty sure I've already started one, I just can't remember. So over the past couple days I have actually been working on things other than schoolwork. So one of those dresses over there, behind the pink flowers, is a vintage reproduction pattern. I think it's by Simplicity. I could be lying to you here though. But that is basically done. And all I need to do is actually make some shank buttons, some covered buttons on shank buttons, and cover them and apply them. And then basically that dress will be done after I make the belt. However, the shank buttons I ordered are in fact the wrong size. I thought I ordered like 3/4 of an inch, but when I got these in the mail, they are decidedly not 3/4 of an inch. They're barely over 1/2 an inch. So I dropped another one. Ah, there it is. So I'm gonna have to place another order and get the correct size. I think I'm gonna order 1 inch and hope for the best. And then I also need to poke around either, not Etsy. Etsy? Is it Etsy? Etsy or eBay, and see if I could find a vintage coverable, or a vintage belt buckle. Preferably in a pale yellow color to complement the pale yellow of the dress. Then the other thing I did was go ahead and I washed some fabric for a couple of other patterns, but I haven't actually cut into that fabric because I got distracted. And what I got distracted by is actually something very fun and something I've been wanting to make for a good long minute, and that would be this, which doesn't actually look like much. But hold on, let me get the camera and show you. And those of you who likes to play video games might recognize it. So what I have here, what I have draped on my dress foam and made up, is Ezio's costume from Assassin's Creed 2. So I went ahead and just draped these pieces on the mannequin. These are my draped pieces. I transferred them to pattern paper and I have mocked it up yet again. So this mock-up actually fits me pretty well because this mannequin is very close to my size. I think, honestly, I think it does fit because I didn't do a particularly good job ironing this. So I actually have probably a good 1/4 of an inch or a 1/2 inch or so where that would actually fit a little bit better. It fits really nicely in the back. And of course I got the back flaps, I got the tail flaps. Everything is all made up and I think it's looking pretty good. There's only a couple changes that are actually going to be made. From this, I did extend the tails of the doublet a little bit further down. I think I extended them by, I think about 1.5 inches at least, maybe 2 inches even. So it'll cover a little bit more of this, so this will just kind of peek through a lot like Ezio's does. And then what I'm working on now is I'm trying to work out the little cap sleeves that he has on this doublet. And I think I worked out the top one. I'm just trying to figure out the lower one at this point because this is very much a flutter sleeve at the moment, and I'm almost positive Ezio doesn't wear flutter sleeves. Like, I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty certain he doesn't. And then also figuring out the collar slash hood situation. I don't know if I want this to have a collar along the back or like a standing collar and just kind of like an extension of this, which actually doesn't sound too bad. I wouldn't mind an extension of that. Or if I want to just give him a, or just attach the hood right there. To be determined, I guess, but I'm very happy with where this has landed so far on the draping process. Honestly, I haven't draped something before, so for it to turn out as good as this and actually fitting me pretty okay, I'm really, really excited about that. So next step is to basically take my pattern adjustments from here and transfer them to my pattern pieces. So these are the pattern pieces over here underneath this bag. And then this is the cap sleeve, the oversleeve. And I'm working on the undersleeve here, which just needs to be, I think, a little bit wider and longer than the oversleeve. And I think we're good to go there, but I'm going to keep the sleeve head the same because it actually fits the arm's eye quite well. Drafting sleeves is always tricky for me. I always get them wrong somehow. But this one's really, really forgiving because it doesn't actually go all the way around the arm's eye. It actually stops, yeah, about there-ish. So I could kind of cheat a little bit on this one where I wouldn't be able to cheat if I were making up like Arno or something. So the other good news on this project is I do actually have most of the fabric that I would need for this. So I do have a white cotton twill. Is it a twill? I think it's a twill. And I also have some red velvet ribbon which I could use where the seams are. So where these seam lines are on this would actually be cut away to make room for the red stripes that are on his robes. The only thing that I anticipate having really any difficulties with is the embroidery details that are along the tails and along the collar of his robes. I don't know if I will do the embroidery. I'm not a particularly good embroiderer. I don't have an embroidery machine. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And if I have to embroider it after the fact, that's fine too, because mostly I just want the swishy robes. I also really want Malik's dye robes, but I need to play through Assassin's Creed 1 again to kind of get a good idea of what that looks like. I'm pretty sure it's just a shapeless robe, and I could probably modify my pattern for the breakup robe over there in order to get Malik's. I have a thing for swishy robes, okay? I really like dramatic swishy robes. And I don't know what I would make Malik's out of. I just know that he is my favorite Assassin's Creed character because he's so sassy and mean, and I would love to have his robe as well as the Assassin's Creed 1 robes. I just think they're super comfy looking because they're very shapeless and comfy. The leather work that goes along with these costumes, I have absolutely zero experience in that, so that's probably not something that would happen on this channel. I would have to defer to people who actually know what they're doing in those cases, because I am not a cosplayer by any means. I just like making costumes. So it's a hobby. So, but yeah, that's what I've been working on for the past couple days. And I'm going to keep on messing with these sleeves until I get them right, and then probably turn my attention to, I don't know, maybe the hood, probably the hood, and then I'll rip apart this mock-up because it's pretty perfect, so I could just use these as my pattern pieces. Yeah, but oh, I'm so excited about this. Yay! Yesterday I went to the fabric store and I bought a fabric that I think would suit the skulls nicely. It is a matte satin from Joann's. This skull fabric is also from Joann's, but this fabric is suitably shiny on one side. The underside looks fine too, so I think I'm safe enough to use the actual satin side on this. I don't think it's too shiny because, again, it's a matte satin, so it doesn't really take away from the skulls, and it's the same tone of white, which is really what I wanted. I didn't want these skulls to be popping out. I wanted it to be kind of a, what is that skirt fabric made of? Kind of situation. Like, are those skulls? Yes. So, and then what is the other thing I wanted to do today? I will tentatively maybe work on dyeing a project that I have on a mannequin over here. I'm not going to show that yet because I'm still very excited about it. I did make up the bodice and to a certain degree the skirts on this, but everything else is going to require some dyeing. So dyeing is a dangerous situation for me. It either comes out or it doesn't, and I spent $15 on dye, so it better work. And then the last thing that I may or may not decide to do today, I'm still kind of kicking around what I actually want to work on. I want to go ahead and continue working on this piece skirt that I am making up, because this was from a bodice or a dress in advance pattern that I ripped apart and was thoroughly unhappy with. And I was digging through my fabric stash and I found 4 yards of some baby pink fabric that'll go along really well with this. So I think for the purposes I have for the skirt, I think I have everything I need, I think. So we're gonna see how this goes. I need to pull up the Pinterest inspiration picture again to really work out how I need to go about making this. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to, at some point, drape this bodice portion on the mannequin so I can make up this dress. This is the one I made the extra buttons for because I figured I can, you know, make it out of the same fabric and add yet another yellow dress to my wardrobe. Because I don't have enough as it is. But before I do any of that, I need some coffee. Oh, by the way, while I was at the fabric store the other day, I picked up 2 more patterns. One is an Angela Clayton pattern that I've been meaning to buy. I wanted to buy the blouses as well. However, they didn't have my size. And then the other one I bought was this pattern for some hats. Mostly because I just want to make a hat. I just want to make a hat. And this provides a base pattern for some hats. In hindsight, I should have probably bought her hat patterns too. If the sale's still going on today, I think I'll pop over and buy it. Just because I know the wide brim hat that's shown on the back of this is actually tiny, whereas the ones that Angela Draft or has in stores is actually big. So one's more suitable for Victorian projects, hers would be more for Edwardian projects. I don't have any Edwardian day styles planned, but you never know. So I would love to do, I think I have a couple patterns for some Edwardian suits which would really benefit from some hats. And I do enjoy a good hat, even though I don't often wear a good hat. Okay, so here is the progress I've made so far, which is to say not very much because YouTube, you know. One thing I have, well, no, that's a secret. That aside, one thing I have gone ahead and done is I went ahead and cut out the pattern pieces for my skull pencil skirt, and I have sewn in the darts for the lining layer. So right here, you can see the lace overlay, and I'm about to go ahead and just baste this into place with some contrasting thread. This band here at the bottom is probably going to get trimmed down because I don't think, yeah, I think I'm just gonna get rid of it altogether because this fabric's not gonna fray. I mean, it's a very open weave lace. But one thing I didn't do also is I did not sew the darts into the lace fabric. I just sort of laid it atop because I figured with such an open design, and it's gonna be pretty forgiving as far as this is not a form-fitting skirt by any means. So I still need to cut down the other 2 layers. I had just enough fabric. Honestly, I think I got a yard. I should have gotten a yard and a quarter because of the nature of the way the skulls are. So the skulls actually, like the larger ones, are printed, I think, across the grain of the fabric, not following the length of the fabric. So I actually needed more length than I thought I would otherwise. Because this isn't just a random design, there is actually a slight pattern to it. I did compromise on the layout of the back pieces. So I put them at a bit of an angle, which I think will be fine. It's the back, I don't care. I don't see the back, everybody else sees the back, and that's not my problem. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut those out the way I have them laid out. I'm gonna see if I could scooch this one a little bit further so I'm not losing the edge over there, because I think that's more seam allowance than I expect. I think that's about 1 inch, and I don't want to have a 1 inch hem on this skirt. So I need to figure out that situation. But aside from that, I think it'll be fine. So I'm going to cut these 2 pieces out too, and I'm going to seam up the center back, install the zipper, and then seam up the sides. And then I need to cut out a waistband of whatever's remaining here. So that is the plan. Alright, so all of my pieces are basted, and I went ahead and seamed down the back panels. I was kind of poking around the idea of, do I want this free flirting or do I want the lace encased in the seams, and I landed on, I want the lace encased in the seams. So that's what we decided to do. I went ahead and stitched about 9 inches down from the waist, and then I carried that stitching until I get to the vent here, and then I just went ahead and hand basted it. And the reason being is because this is actually going to get folded over like so, and then that's going to get released, and that'll be the vent so I could actually walk in this skirt since it is a slim cut skirt. The darts are also sewn in. Sorry, my battery very rudely cut me off. So I have the darts sewn to the lining but not to the actual lace portion itself. So now I'm just going to go ahead and press this open and trim the excess lace, and then press that flat so I could go ahead and install the zipper, because I want to install the zipper while it's still flat because it's easier to do as opposed to when the whole thing's put together. And then I will hand sew the vents. I'll fold them over like so, and then I'll just hand sew that in place so that the stitches only catch the lining. And then once I get the zipper in and that hand sewn, then I could seam the front of the skirt to the back of the skirt. And I think I'm kicking around the idea if I want to go ahead and release it from the basting here and then seam together just the lace and then the lining, just to give it a little bit more movement than it would otherwise have. I do like the idea of that, so I might go ahead and do that. And then at some point I need to cut out the waistband. So I'm going to go ahead and press this, and I'll update you when I do that. Okay, the zipper is now in, and it looks pretty okay, which is nice because that was a little bit nerve-wracking, but it was actually less painful than I anticipated as well. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and remove all of these basting stitches. Actually, no. I'm going to go ahead and hand sew this down, and then I will remove all the basting stitches, including this one, so we could open up the vent. And then I still haven't decided if I wanted to enclose. I think the lace looks fine if it's enclosed in the seam. It just restricts the amount of movement that it'll have on the actual skirt, but it's a pencil skirt, so there shouldn't even be much movement on it. And when I hold it up to my body and look at it in the mirror, now that the back is seamed together, it looks pretty okay. And even like where it is seamed, it doesn't, like the lace isn't pulling away or anything weird. So I think it'll be fine if I enclose it in the seams. And I'm not entirely sure how it's going to look with the raw edges like that, you know? So I'm really leaning towards just going ahead and seaming it up as is. I think that'll be best. I did actually get the idea from this skirt from a skirt that I saw someone wearing when I was watching one of their YouTube videos. She's not a seamstress or anything, but she had this really pretty purple skirt that had a lace overlay to it, but I can't remember if hers has movement or not. And I don't know what video I saw it in, and I don't want to go through her entire catalog and see if I can find it, but I probably will, knowing me. So yeah, let me just do that, I guess, while I'm hand sewing this. Okay, so here's where the skirt is so far. I think the fit is exactly what I wanted it to be. It fits really nicely in the hips, and then it also fits really nicely in the back. It's kind of exactly what I wanted it to be. You can see the vent there makes it a lot easier to walk. So really, what I need to do now with this skirt is I need to go ahead and hem it, and then I also need to install a waistband. As you can see, it doesn't have one yet, but it does fall exactly at my waist. So the waistband, I'm thinking, is probably going to be no wider than an inch, which means if I want to have it to have 5 or half-inch seam allowances, I'll need to cut a waistband that's 2 inches wide and 26 inches long. But yeah, it is coming along exactly how I hoped it would, which is nice. It's not bunching up underneath the lace. It's laying quite nicely. I did go ahead and encase the lace in the side seams as well, so it's not floating freely, which I think helps kind of keep its shape. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with this. I also didn't get any unfortunate placements on the skulls either, I don't think. Nope. Which is nice. So it's always a shame when you have unfortunate placement on something, but these skulls ended up doing just fine. So, and then while I was cutting out my fabric, I ended up with a couple of fabric scraps. So I went ahead and just cut out the little scraps that I had remaining into just little skull appliques. Maybe I could use those on another project later. And those are the scraps that I'm going to try and cut my waistband out of. But I'm not sure if I have 26 inches of length anywhere here. I don't think that's 26 inches. I might have to piece the waistband, which, yeah, it's fine. So just kind of want to figure out what the arrangement of the skulls wants to be. I don't think it really matters, but this was such a fun fabric. Oh my god. Okay, so in lieu of this waistband doesn't really want to fold over without just basically becoming a bowl, or a ball, a tube. What I'm going to do is I went ahead and cut the length of this lace 27 inches so I can stitch it onto the top and then fold it over to cover all of the raw edges nice and neatly. At least that is the plan. I think this lace is wide enough for that idea. We'll see, but essentially all I'm really after is covering all of these raw edges, and I think I could just encase them in this lace and it'll be just fine. After that's done, all I have to do is hem the lining portion of this skirt and then trim off this little bit on the edge here. So I just think I'll just probably roll up a very narrow hem as much as I can because I seamed it down over here and I probably shouldn't have. I could probably unpick it, roll it up, and then, yeah, that'll probably be the way to do that. But yeah, I just need to turn a very narrow hem here So what'll happen is the lace will end up sticking out a little bit further down than the lining, which is fine. That doesn't bother me at all. So I'm gonna go and do those two things, and I think that means this will be done. If I do anything else, it'll probably just be installing a hook and eye at the waist. But I think following that, this project will be done. It took me probably like half of an afternoon. It's only 6 o'clock now. I have plenty of time to do other things tonight, which is nice because there are some other things that I would like to do tonight. Namely, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut out a sewing pattern. I have this vintage, go away. I have this vintage pattern in here. I think I just saw a bug. Ugh, you never know what's in these old pattern envelopes. I'm pretty sure I just saw a bug. Anyway, I have this old Butterick pattern. This is a size 14, a bust 32, which I think is about my size. Size 14, waist would be 26.5. So this actually should fit me. And I have a fabric that actually matches this quite well as well. It's not exact, but it is blue and red stripes, but the red stripes are made up of little roses. So, which is very close to the tones that are in the art there. And I adore the hat. The hat is so cute. I might make the hat as well. I'm trying to decide if I want to make the blue version or the stripes version. The only difference really is the buttons going up the center front and the bow. I don't think this would really suit me. I really like something plain better, and all of the detail will be in the stripes. But the stripes kind of help make the button closure, so maybe I'll do the button version. I don't have anything like that. I think it'll be fun. So that is probably what I'm going to be cutting out a little bit later, and this requires view 1. Size 14 require about 4 yards of fabric. I think I have 3 here. So I'm going to see if I could squeeze out these panels on here. I need to unfold the pattern pieces and find out. But I think I'll go ahead and cut that out this evening so I could go ahead and make another vintage dress while I have the week off. And then I may or may not get around to actually sewing the buttons onto my other one and covering one of these little guys and make up the belt. I should probably go ahead and knock those two things out, but I'm also lazy. So as it turns out on the hem, I can't turn the lining up separately because I seamed it at the side seams. So I won't be able to do that. So I'm just going to turn it up once and lace and everything, and that'll be that. I don't think the fabric will bag. I'm not overly concerned if it does. I think it'll be fine. So the only thing that's left to do on this project would be to hand sew the hem, and then to hand sew the waist. And then it's done, and I have a new, really fun skirt in my wardrobe. So I'll save that for later on tonight, so I could veg out in front of like a TV, watching YouTube videos, and I think I'm going to have a snack.